This is KSDK, Channel 5, St. Louis. First in information. And now, with the latest news at night, this is Eyewitness News Update with Stan Stovall and Dick Ford, Bob Richards with weather, and Mike Bush with sports.
Well, good evening. Missouri congressmen are skeptical tonight about President Reagan's new action to help the U.S. trade.
Meanwhile, the markets went wild today. The dollar plunged and the stock market surged. Currency traders rushed to dump dollars. The dollar plunged more than 4% compared to currencies of major trading partners, the biggest drop since 1973 when President Nixon devalued the dollar 10%. But the stock market rallied stronger than it has in 3 months. Gold prices jumped more than $10 an ounce. The traders reacted to a meeting Sunday of bankers and finance ministers from 5 economically powerful countries. They set strategy to take the steam out of the overvalued dollar by pumping extra dollars on international currency markets. The strong dollar has given consumers more cheap imports, but has cost American jobs. Congress has been trying to pass laws to keep some imports out of the United States. Today, President Reagan announced steps to head off that sentiment in Congress and to cut the trade deficit.
I will not stand by and watch American businesses fail because of unfair trading practices abroad.
The president's steps include a $300 million war chest to subsidize certain exports, a strike force to find unfair trade practices, more authority to stop the practices, and an international effort to drive down the strength of the dollar. In 4 years, the trade deficit has almost quadrupled. Critics say the president's new strategy will take 12 to 18 months to become effective.
Well, I think it's too little, too late. That is, I think for 4.5 years of his presidency, that he has paid no attention whatsoever to trade problems. Now, all of a sudden, when the trade issue is really the #1 issue before the Congress, he's suddenly interested in it.
If I were a trading partner of the United States, I would breathe a sigh of relief because the president's statement is a lot of talk and little action.
Congress isn't going to go away. Congress isn't going to lose its interest in trade because of one speech.
Now, by the way, another effect of all this activity will probably be more pressure to keep interest rates low.
Virginia State Police tonight say the wreckage of a missing commercial commuter plane has been found, and the first rescuers on the scene in the rugged Blue Ridge Mountains say there is no sign of life. 14 persons were aboard the plane when it went down on a flight from Baltimore to the Shenandoah Valley Airport near Staunton, Virginia. In Mexico tonight, rescuers hope they'll find more survivors beneath the buildings that collapsed during last week's earthquakes. This morning, just before dawn, French rescue workers pulled a 23-year-old medical student from the rubble of what once was a hospital. He had been buried there since last Thursday. The workers dug a tunnel through the ruins to get to him. His survival is just one of several miracles in a city where some 2,000 people are still listed as missing. America's First Lady got a first-hand look at the disaster today. Nancy Reagan toured the ravaged city for 3.5 hours, accompanied by Paloma Cordera de la Madrid, the wife of Mexico's president. They visited some of the 6,700 people who survived the quakes. The U.S. State Department is putting the death toll right now, a preliminary figure of around 3,500. Mrs. Reagan's goodwill tour took her to a collapsed hotel, a flattened medical center, and a sports stadium now serving as a huge temporary morgue. And the First Lady delivered a $1 million check, a gift from the United States to help the relief effort.
Still no leads tonight on the whereabouts of a murder suspect who escaped from the St. Clair County Jail in Belleville last week. Authorities say they think 21-year-old Johnny Lee Harris jumped a fence at the jail recreation area Friday night. Harris was being held pending trial on murder, attempted murder, and sexual assault charges. Harris is accused of stabbing his girlfriend to death on a downtown East St. Louis street last June. Police say he also stabbed the victim's aunt. Tonight, police on the east side are still searching for him. Beefed up security measures will go into effect soon on the streets of downtown St. Louis, but officials say the plan is not a reaction to last week's rape of an office worker at a parking garage at 6th and Lucas. Officials say the new patrols will start October 1st. Now, it's hoped the measures will curb criminal activity and provide a sense of security to downtown visitors.
In St. Louis County Circuit Court, they began jury selection today for a suit filed by residents of Berkeley. Some 200 residents complain about the noise of jet planes, and they want to force the airport authority to buy their homes. They complain that the city of St. Louis has purposely delayed the litigation. Eyewitness News has learned that the city recently did make an offer to those in the lawsuit to buy out 279 homes over a 4-year period. City officials officially declined comment. Mayor Vincent Shamel and the St. Louis School Board once again are asking for help. Today they kicked off a campaign for a $155 million bond issue. The money would go for repairs and renovations at city public schools. The district says that many students currently have to attend classes in large old rooms with paint chipping off the walls and in buildings that have poor plumbing. The voters will decide the fate of the bond issue in November. If approved, the measure would mean higher property taxes for city residents.
As winter and the flu season fast approaches, the number of St. Louis County residents vaccinated to guard against the virus is off significantly. County health officials say so far this year, 11% fewer people have gotten the shot in the first week they were offered compared to last year. The flu shots are recommended for senior citizens and people working in high-risk professions like teachers and policemen. The county health director, Ken Baldwin, says a number of people have called concerned about AIDS contamination. But Baldwin says the needle and syringe is encased in plastic before use and thrown away after each shot.
The needle is inserted into this little box and it's clipped off. And then after that is done, the syringe itself is inserted into the same box and it's clipped off, and the contents of this box is disposed of. So it's absolutely impossible for anyone to be given a flu shot, or any other shot for that matter, with a used needle.
The flu shots are free, and for a location on the nearest clinic, you can call 854-6000. That number again, 854-6000. In Western Europe, a group of health officials from 21 nations is taking steps to prevent people from contracting AIDS. The health ministers are asking that anyone donating blood be screened for AIDS. Now, it's possible to contract AIDS through blood transfusions, but not through donating blood. Secretary of State Schultz is blaming the Soviets for a lack of progress at Geneva in the arms talks. Schultz spoke before the opening session of the United Nations General Assembly today. He accused the Soviets of failing to respond to U.S. proposals for an arms control agreement. The official Soviet news agency was quick to respond, accusing Schultz of distorting U.S.-Soviet relations. St. Louis is the resting place tonight for a group of Salvadoran refugees. 6 refugees and their American companions are on a tour of the United States, part of the first national caravan for peace and justice in El Salvador. They stopped in St. Louis to speak out against the U.S. involvement in El Salvador. The refugees spoke at a gathering at the Lutheran Memorial Church, and they'll leave tomorrow morning for Milwaukee. Coming up, the connection between the new Miss America's family and a notorious civil rights story. We'll have details when the news continues.
Celebrate the fabulous tastes of autumn with Oktoberfest at Schnucks. Your fall feast begins with Pride of the Farm whole pork butts sliced into steaks, just 77 cents a pound. Fresh from Missouri and Illinois orchards, new crop Jonathan apples are only 89 cents for the 3-pound bag. Plus, win 1 of 10 trips for 2 to Germany. Fly TWA, the #1 transatlantic airline. Vacation at the Munich Penta Hotel and Forum Hotel Wiesbaden. Enter now during Oktoberfest at Schnucks.
The energy game. At best, it's chancy. At worst, it's a disaster. Oh, no. Now save up to 40% on your heating bills with the Lennox PowerMinder electric heat pump. When you play the energy game, you always win with Lennox.
Meet Ray Weiss of Weiss Comfort Systems, where customer satisfaction is their #1 priority.
Thanks, Dave.
Let Dick Cole and his winning team at Cole Heating and Cooling in Belleville cut your utility bills.
We do the job right all the time.
Lennox and Union Electric invite you to be energy-wise and use electric heat.
There's an old saying that time can heal even the deepest of wounds. No one can appreciate that more than the new Miss America, and those who remember the role some of her family members played in the civil rights struggle. Tonight in Cover Story, Channel 5's Rick Edlin tells a story of just how far our nation has come in 20 years.
The story begins here in Neshoba County, Mississippi. It was here in 1964 in a small earthen dam up near that ridge where the bodies of 3 civil rights workers, Michael Schwerner, Andrew Goodman, and James Earl Cheney, were found buried. The murders made headline news across the country and prompted President Lyndon Johnson to order more than 100 FBI agents into Mississippi to find the killers. Aaron Henry is the head of the NAACP in Mississippi. He brought Andrew Goodman, one of the civil rights workers, to Mississippi to help in the struggle for equality.
The only night he spent alive in this state was in my bed at home. The next night he'd been murdered. Well, as I had brought him home from his mama's house, when they found the body under the earthen dam and decided who was who, it was my obligation to carry him back to his mama, the corpse, and to say to her that those who Andy died for would never forget him.
In 1964, there was a trailer park on this site, and according to the FBI, more than a dozen Klansmen used this location as a secret rendezvous point on the same night the murders took place. The trailer park was operated by Bernard Aiken, Susan Aiken's grandfather. He and 20 others, including his son Earl Aiken, were arrested in connection with the murders. Bernard Aiken was charged with conspiracy to violate the rights of the civil rights workers. According to former FBI agents, he was tried and convicted, but died while his case was being appealed. Earl Aiken, Miss America's father, was charged with failing to report the abduction and murders. The charges against Earl Aiken were later dropped, but the FBI considered both Earl and Bernard active members in the White Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. That story is well known here in Meridian, the town where Susan Aiken grew up. But it's also a story that very few people here like to talk about. But Henry says Susan Aiken should not be judged by the past. In fact, earlier this year, when some people planned to picket the Miss Mississippi pageant because of Susan Aiken, Henry blocked that protest.
We took a position that the young girl who was born even after the incident of the lynching had taken place, that she should not be crucified with that.
Rick Edlund, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
Now, we contacted Miss America, Susan Aiken, by phone. She said her family never talked about the incident when she was growing up, and that she is not a prejudiced person.
Coming up, we'll have some results from yesterday's big Farm Aid concert.
And Bob Richards will have a very cool forecast. Stay with us.
1829, the sewing machine puts everyone in stitches. 1893, Whitcomb Judson adds zip to men's trousers.
And in 1985, Kuppenheimer sets new standards in men's clothing, providing well-tailored menswear, incomparable service, and a pleasant atmosphere for a true value. A value that saves you hundreds and makes you look like a million. Introducing the new Kuppenheimer. Absolutely nothing compares to it. At Kuppenheimer, we don't cut corners to cut the price.
Trust. Trust is what it's all about. And the floors that little Jenny is tiptoeing on right now were built on trust, because they were purchased from and installed by Midwest Floor. For 45 years, the professional floor covering people of St. Louis.
And now Midwest Floor is having a big sale on first quality Cabin Craft carpet, featuring selections from the Cabin Craft Presidential Collection. Prices are 20 to 30% off. The Midwest Floor Cabin Craft sale.
I'm Bob Richards, and here are today's allergy index numbers. Mold spores at 1,737, ragweed at 154, grass pollen at 33, and lamb's quarter pollen at 14. Sunrise tomorrow at 6:50. It's down at 6:55. The detailed two-state forecast coming up next.
Remember when you lost patience instead of pounds? Well, Weight Watchers changed all that with its new Quick Start diet plan. And now Quick Start is improved, so we've improved our special offer. Now you can get our fastest diet plan ever for our lowest Quick Start price ever, just $7. Yes, just $7 gets you started losing up to 10 pounds in the first 2 weeks. So it doesn't have to be this, when it could be this. You'll love Weight Watchers because now you can start on our fastest diet plan ever for just $7. But call now. This offer won't last long.
Many of the organizers of the Farm Aid concert say they're just getting started. Total proceeds from yesterday's 14-hour concert at the University of Illinois Stadium in Champaign may be a little disappointing, closer to $10 million than the $50 million that sponsors had hoped for. However, organizer Willie Nelson says the concert is making the public aware of the farmers' problems, and he promised to go to Washington and lobby Congress for laws giving greater assistance to farmers.
Well, saw a lot of folks heading to the ballpark for the ball game tonight. Yes. They were carrying winter coats, Bob.
Yes,
I mean,
yes. They're wearing cool weather gear.
Yeah.
And they'll need it again tomorrow, Stan.
Is that right?
It's going to be a cool week. Very cool.
About time.
I mean, really cool. I do want to spend a moment and thank the Lee May Republican Club for having me down there tonight. We didn't speak politics. We just talked about the kooky jet stream that continues to bring us the cool air. As a matter of fact, not only is it cool here, but it's cool over most of the nation's midsection into the northern Rockies. Tomorrow's not going to be much better. High temperatures here will only remain in the 60s, but only in the 40s over the northern plains and the upper Great Lakes states. The only real hot spot tomorrow over the deserts of the southwest from Las Vegas into your hometown, Stan, Phoenix. All right? Right now we do have clear skies. Skies have cleared out this evening. After sunset, all those clouds kind of dissipate up into nothing. Temperature right now, 51 degrees, 84% humidity. Good thing the winds have died down and the barometer is rising. A high of 73 early today. We've been dropping ever since. Low temperatures, our present reading of 51. For sure, we're going down into the 40s tonight. No rainfall expected or snowfall around here because skies are generally clear to partly cloudy. Most of the rainfall we had earlier today is now lining itself up over the Ohio Valley and the lower Mississippi Mississippi Valley. We also have a few showers over the high plains. That activity is not expected to reach us perhaps until the middle of the week. Now, the satellite picture shows a clear weather pattern developing just to our west. Big area of high pressure and fair weather starting to nose its way on in. The clouds that we had earlier today are now well to our east. And let me stray for just a moment and take you out into the Atlantic Ocean. Tropical storm Henri, about 140 miles to the southeast of Atlantic City, should be drifting to the north and eventually into the northeast. Closer to home, skies have cleared out nicely over the two-state area throughout most of the Midwest, but the temperatures are really starting to drop under clear skies. Readings well down into the 30s over the northern plains, 40s just to our north, and 50s right over us right now. But indeed, you can see the temperatures are very cold, and it's going to be much cooler tonight than we've seen in many, many weeks. Right now, the cold front that passed through the area is now located just to our east. It's the leading edge of this cool air mass. High pressure and fair weather taking hold of our weather tomorrow should bring us more northerly breezes. Notice light snows over northern Minnesota. Can you believe it? By Wednesday, we'll start to see a bit of a change. That high will pass off to our east, and the winds will start to turn and become more southerly. That may warm things up, but only temporarily, because still another storm is going to be starting to take shape over the plain states on Wednesday. That may bring us a slight chance for a few light rain showers late Wednesday or Wednesday evening, and then after that, another reinforcing block of cold air. So it's going to remain below normal this week temperature-wise. Clear skies tonight, but it's going to be rather nippy with a northwesterly breeze. Low temperature tonight, 44 degrees. Tomorrow, there's no rain in the forecast. Maybe a few fair weather clouds, a mostly sunny day otherwise. Westerly winds, high temperatures only 65 degrees. Then tomorrow night, skies remain generally clear, but it's going to be another cold one with overnight lows back down into the 40s. On Wednesday, we'll introduce a slight chance for a shower, but again, these are going to be widely scattered. We don't expect anything heavy. Partly cloudy skies, high around 68 degrees, and then temperatures cool off just a tad on Thursday, partly sunny, and then again a chance for showers coming in by the end of the week. Highs in the 60s, overnight lows in the 40s, into the low 50s. Well, I'll tell you, it's a hot one over at Busch Stadium tonight. Game 2 of the short two-game series with the Cards and the Pittsburgh Pirates continues tomorrow night. If you're a ticket holder, Busch Stadium's the place. 7:35 is the time. It's going to be generally fair, but the temperatures are going to be rather cold with readings in the upper 50s. So bring a sweater or jacket. Winds light. That's the good news. We'll come back tomorrow with the first look at the upcoming weekend forecast at 5 and 6.
Thanks, Bob. Thank you. A new color-coded driver's license is being introduced in Illinois, an effort to cut down on teenage drinking. Starting in January, licenses for minors will be stamped with the words under 21 in bold letters on a red background. Secretary of State Jim Edgar says the license will make it much easier for people who sell alcohol to identify underage drinkers. Edgar says that current licenses will remain valid until their expiration. Licenses issued in January, then we'll have the new color code.
The Missouri Highway Patrol has added a new weapon to its arsenal, and it's aimed at speeders. They are radar guns that can clock a motorist in a mere 0.7 of a second. 51 units are now on the road, with another 635 scheduled to be on the street by mid-November. How well do they work? Well, the patrol says by the time detection devices, or so-called fuzzbusters, pick up the radar signal, it'll be too late. The trooper will have you nailed.
It's enough to make an honest driver out of you.
Right.
I'll tell you. Is the Cards' magic number any lower tonight?
Mike Bush is up next with the answer.
The Slyman Brothers, the first appliance dealers in St. Louis to sit on top of the arch, the first to put their mother to work in a commercial, and now another first for Slyman Brothers and Sons.
For the first time, you can buy quality Amana appliances at Slyman Brothers everyday low prices.
That's right, quality Amana refrigerators, washers, dryers, freezers, and microwaves at prices you would pay for regular brands.
At Slyman Brothers and Sons, you pay no more for Amana quality.
Amana, another first for Slyman Brothers and Sons. Try us.
You'll like us.
Waddle, waddle, wiggle, wobble, boing, boing, boing. Don't worry, call the Car X-Man.
When you need shock absorbers, come see us. We carry the ones you need.
Install them while you wait and guarantee them for as long as you own your car. The same is true for McPherson struts. Hey, Jimmy, show them one of our struts.
Waddle, waddle, wiggle, wobble, boing, boing, boing. Don't worry, call the Car X-Man.
And now
announcing REK Industries' free installation sale.
I like it.
Only during this time of year can we make this special offer. Buy any thermal replacement window and we'll install them free. I like it. Buy any aluminum, steel, or vinyl siding and we'll install Monsanto foam core insulation free.
I like it.
Plus, for a limited time only, buy any home improvement and make no payment for up to 6 months.
We love it.
So call REK today. This special free installation sale is our way of making home improvements more affordable.
A breathless Mike Bush just came in here and said we're doing it again.
This is, didn't look like they were going to do it tonight, but they have just come back again. The Pittsburgh Pirates came into tonight's action 41 games behind the Cardinals in the National League East. And they still might have something to say, though, on who wins the division. First, they beat the Mets twice over the weekend. Tonight, they were trying to rock the Cardinals' boat. Let's go to Busch Stadium. We pick it up in the first inning. R.J. Reynolds on second, and Sid Bream will knock him home with this base hit. Reynolds around third, and you can make it 1-0 Bucks. Top of the second, and Joe Orsulak will drive this Bob Force pitch to deep right field. Over the head of Andy Van Slyke. Tony Pena scores 2-0. Bottom of the second, Mike Jorgensen with an RBI base hit that'll score Darrell Porter, cuts the lead in half. Same inning, and the Cards tie it. Terry Pendleton on third. He'll come home on Ozzie Smith's fielder's choice, and after 2, we're tied at 2. But in the sixth, the Pirates scored 2 more. One on this Jim Morrison solo home run. Kissed that one goodbye. After 6, it was 4-2 Pittsburgh. In the seventh, after Pendleton doubled, Ozzie will bring him home. Ozzie the batter, Pendleton on second, and it is 4-3 as Ozzie sends it up the middle, base hit. But just seconds ago, bottom of the 8th inning, Terry Pendleton delivered a 2-run double, and you gotta love it. Right now, the Cards are in front in the 8th inning by the score of 5-4. All right, now let's take you to Veterans Stadium, Philadelphia, where it was the Mets and the Phillies. Mets catcher Gary Carter wailing on this one in the first. Goodbye, Mr. Rawlings, a 2-run shot, 2-0 Mets. Just a short time later, George Foster on third. Mookie Wilson will crank this one through. Foster will come home, and the Mets go on to win. Final in Philadelphia, 4-1. So the Cardinals' magic number is still 11, but if they hold on to win tonight, it'll be down to 10. Now in the National League West, the Dodgers started the night 5.5 in front of the Reds. The Reds were off. The Dodgers were in Houston. Let's go to the Astrodome, where it was the Dodgers on top early on. Steve Sachs, the batter, against Mike Scott. He takes this shot to right center field. He'll get extra bases. 2 runs will come home. For Sachs, a 2-run triple, and the Dodgers now lead it in the 8th inning. The score, 5-3. Also, Toronto, 5-1 over Milwaukee in the American League. They now lead the Yankees by 6 games, and in the second, Chicago and California are 1-1. The football Cardinals were licking their wounds today. Wounds suffered in yesterday's 27-17 loss to the Giants. One Cardinal who had a lot to think about was cornerback Cedric Mack. Mack, you know, started the year as the team's 3rd wide receiver on offense, but he was pressed into service on defense when Lionel Washington broke his ankle. The Giants passed his way early and often, and they had some pretty good success. But when I talked to Cedric after the game in New York, he told me he did get more comfortable as the game went on.
Yes, at first I was a little shaky, a little timid, a little rusty, you know, but as the game went on, I got more and more confident, got more into the fluidness of the game.
It's got to be tough for you to come into a game like this. You've been switching back from defense to offense, and then all of a sudden you're the starting cornerback and they're going your way.
Yeah, you know, things happen fast this past week, and I hopefully to learn from this game and go on through the season.
NFL Monday Night Football, Eric Dickerson is back with the Rams and his team out in front of Seattle 21-7 in the 3rd quarter. In golf, some of the sport's biggest names were in town today. The occasion, the 4th annual Junior League Challenge Cup. No mistaking this guy, that's Lee Trevino. Trevino, Curtis Strange, Donna Capone, Rosie Jones, and our own Jay Randolph all helped make this year's tournament come off without a hitch. And Jay even had time to talk to the Merry Mex about the sport he loves.
What about the state of professional golf today?
I think it's as strong as it's ever been. Yeah, you know, I think that not only has the media, but all the people that follow the game of golf have gotten to the point to where the younger player is taking over. They have been trying to hold on to Nicklaus, myself, Arnold Palmer, and they're starting to realize now that there are other superstars out there to follow. And it's very evident because the gallery records have been broken just about every golf tournament that was played in 1985.
By the way, Trevino and his partner Rosie Jones lost the Challenge Cup to Curtis Strange and Donna Capone, but a whole lot of money was raised for the Junior League. Finally tonight, as always, the Bush Leaguer. Let's take you back to yesterday's Cardinals-Giants game in New York. The hit of the day. Watch Otis Anderson meet head-on with Gary Reasons. Boom! Ooh! I got to tell you, though, Otis walked away from this one. He got knocked out of the game a couple of other times, but on the hit of the day, coming up right here, he was able to walk away. And once again, Cardinals on top in the bottom of the 8th, 5-4.
All right, see if we can get a final score in maybe.
We'll try.
Okay.
Still to come, where would you park a 67 Rolls-Royce?
Well, we're going to show you where one Rolls owner has decided to park his when the news continues.
Every 3 days, somewhere in America, a new Auto Shack opens for business. And the reason Auto Shack does so much business? Well, a lot of people like to save money. At Auto Shack, they save up to 50%. Lots of others like to save time. And since Auto Shack is open nights and Sundays, they find all the parts they need just when they need it. But the real reason for Auto Shack's success is not those who like to save time or money, but those who like to save both.
Look in this Sunday's paper for 8 pages of Auto Shack's Fall into Winter specials.
In the competitive world of fine home furnishings, this is world-class design and workmanship you probably thought you couldn't afford until now. Carafiles exclusively presents the entire line of Bernhardt Flair creations. Bernhardt Flair is known for producing exquisite home furnishings affordably priced. Now Carafiles brings unique gallery savings during our special Bernhardt Flair St. Louis introduction sale, only at Carafiles.
When we decided to build our new home, we had a heat survey done. We decided to go with the heat pump.
UE asked hundreds of users of the heat pump about their experience with this high-efficiency method of heating.
Our bills are even a third less than most of our neighbors.
Even though this was a very severe winter, my heating cost was considerably less.
And we went with a heat pump hoping to save money on both our heating and cooling costs. We think it has more than paid for itself.
The electric heat pump has received a warm welcome. Write UE for a list of contractors.
Some people notice a pretty face. Others notice a great body. If you want your body noticed, you've got to stretch, push, pull, twist, and sweat for it. So join Vic Tanny today and save $100.
These are your final days to join Vic Tanny and get $100 off any regular membership. Call today.
Face it, a pretty smile only gets you so far.
Finally tonight, imagine this. You own a Rolls-Royce, which is pretty hard to imagine anyway, and someone rolls it off a barge into the Atlantic Ocean. That's exactly what happened today in Palm Beach, Florida. But what's even harder to imagine is that's exactly where the car's owner wanted it. Hairdresser Greg Hopner donated the 1967 Silver Shadow Rolls to Palm Beach's artificial reef community. The car was in working order and worth at least $25 grand, at least before it was dropped off the barge into 83 feet of water. Now, apparently cosmetology is a pretty good business in Palm Beach these days.
I guess so. Talk about conspicuous consumption, huh?
Yeah, apparently they're doing this so divers can go down and swim in with the fish and what have you and have a great time.
You can swim through a Rolls-Royce, have some fun. That wraps it up for us right now, but don't forget the first news in St. Louis will be Ann Lane at 6:30 tomorrow morning.
Have a good night.